Hello. Welcome. Please. Come in. What can I help you with? You're looking for a watch. Well, you came to the right place. The Watch Emporium. Tell me, what kind of a watch are you looking for? You don't know. Well, what do you think you're looking for? You still don't know. Well, believe it or not, you are my favorite type of client. Tell you what, why don't you give me a few minutes of your time and I'll roll out the red carpet of watches, and if you still don't know what you want after all this, well, I'm afraid I can't help that. I have faith in myself and you. Before I get started, what's your budget? Okay, it's variable. Okay, well, what's that? Oh, what your wife doesn't know can't hurt you. Well, I can agree with that. How that sign out front that I can change the letters, and I actually had a sign that said, your wife called and she says you're allowed to. That is funny, at least to me. Tell you what, why don't I take off my watch that I have on right now and put it to the side. That way I can show you some of these watches, what they're like, how to wear them. Sounds good. Okay, take this off. This is Omega Speedmaster. It's a good watch. So there's two different types of watches. First and foremost, there's the wristwatch, and there's the pocket watch. Let me show you an example. This is a pocket watch. The pocket watch is about yay big, and you clip the chain to your vest and you drop the watch inside your pocket. A lot of what we know of wristwatches we got from pocket watches. For instance, if you're a right-handed man, or I think just generally as a rule, you always wear the watch on your left side. The reason being, most men are right-handed, so it allows you to check the time and continue to use your right hand. This particular pocket watch is a 1922 pocket watch made by Elgin, which was produced in Illinois. 21 jewels. As a rule, this watch is all mechanical. This is a railroad quality watch, which is the top. Railroad quality pocket watches had to tell time very accurately and only lose up to 3 seconds a day. It's the cream of the crop. Then there's the Hunter. Then there's just the regular pocket watch. Millions of these produced. How you set the pocket watch. You take off the cap. And there's this little lever. You pull up the lever like so, and now you can adjust your watch. When this watch does not have the lever, you rotate the crown. Like so. And it starts moving. I think around 15 to 20, but you want to give it a good 30 spins. Put this back on to protect the watch face. And as you can tell, the lower second hand of the watch is moving. You can also take off the back of the watch like so. And when you take off the back of the watch, you can actually see the mechanism moving. And you can hear it. Very cool. And then you simply take it and screw it back on. Pocket watches were the end-all be-all for watch wearers until the wristwatch came out. Then you had something that looked a lot like this, where you take this and you put it on your wrist. I'm going to move this back here to keep track. You have something that looks a lot like this. So, many of the same things that went into the pocket watch go into the wristwatch. It's simply worn on the wrist. So, what are you more interested in? The wristwatch. Yes, of course. Now, there's two different types of watches when it comes to the movement of them. I mean, there's so many different things, but we'll get to that. There's two different types of watches, really. There's the mechanical watch, which is just like you saw with a stopwatch, only on the wrist. It's put together with gravity causing a winding mechanism to move. Then there is something like this, which is a quartz watch. A quartz watch is battery powered. That means that it's much more dependable. keeps time typically a little bit better, and you don't have to worry about being constantly in motion for your watch to continue to keep time, which you have to do. With the mechanical watch, you have a power reserve, but ultimately, when you stop moving, your watch stops telling time, which means you have to reset it a lot. So, I really like Quartz movements. However, they're not the movement that the really high quality watches are. And why do the high quality watches still use mechanical movements? Because they can, and because they always have. So, for instance, this is a Swiss watch, and it's 100% carbon fiber and stainless steel, which has a brushed gold finish. It's also referred to as a chronograph, which allows you to utilize these top and bottom buttons, and when you hit these top and bottom buttons, it serves almost as a stopwatch. So you see at the very bottom, the tiny circle is moving. So now I'm looking at my seconds from the time that I hit the stopwatch, and then you hit the bottom, and let me show you again. You hit the bottom button and you hold it down, and all the watch hands return. It's a very interesting type of watch. It also has a rotating bezel, which is indicative of what they call a dive watch. What this means is that I can find where my minute hand is, put my arrow on my minute hand, wherever it is, and now I can keep track of how long I've been doing something, i.e., if I'm underwater, it goes to this first tick mark, that's 5 minutes, the next 10, the next 15, so on and so forth. Movable bezels, very common. Now, to adjust any of these watches, you take this right here, the crown, you're going to twist it counterclockwise, and it's going to pop out. You heard the first click. You rotate it once, and there's the date, if you can see that. The date is changing. You pull it out again, and now you can rotate the hands. This is how you adjust a wristwatch, regardless if it's quartz or mechanical. Now, these Morphics, because they're called quartz, we usually sell them for around $80, $90, sometimes when they're on sale, maybe around 110 when they're not. But I'll put these to the side. It's an interesting brand. But the brand that I really want to show you is a brand called Invicta. And I already showed you one of them earlier. Invictas were basically created as, for lack of a better word, a Chinese knockoff of a Rolex. And what they have become since then is something totally different. Not that it wasn't respectable before, but the Invictas now are standalone great watches. So I want to show you some Invictas because these typically fall in the price point of $60 to maybe $300 or $400. So it's very affordable to get in the watch game. And like I said, they're good. They're very good watches. This first one is just like the other one. It's a quartz movement. And the battery on it is currently not in there, obviously. When you put the battery in it, you're just wearing the watch down, and possibly the battery will leak and spill. So don't worry if you end up deciding that you want to go with a quartz movement. We will, of course, install the battery for you, but this is an Invicta, and let me show you what it looks like on the back. It says all stainless steel, Japanese made. So I guess that's my first mistake. I use Chinese, it's Japanese. And this is typically, these Invictas are made with I don't want to say lower quality steel, but not the higher end. They scratch a little easier, and a lot of the Invictas also use what they call a mineral crystal on the cover. And it's cheaper and a little bit more easier to scratch as well. But like the traditional models with the hands like this, like the other one that I showed you, the bezel doesn't move. That's normal. They typically don't. But it's a very interesting watch, and as you can see, beautiful watch face as well. Now, watches as a whole are very customizable, but Invictas especially. Doesn't matter if you don't like the band. We can help you out, get you a different band. We can size it, make it bigger, make it smaller, whatever you need. This is, right here, an example of an Invicta that is a original, one of the early carbon copies of the Rolex Submariner. And this is the first watch that I'm showing you that is a mechanical movement. There's no batteries in this. So let me show you the back. What Invicta is known for, at least when they first came out, was their skeleton backs. So you can see the back of the watch and the movement. Now, what this big guy is, this is a weight. When this thing is in motion, it winds up the watch. And when that watch winds up, it starts to move. I haven't caused it to do that yet, so I'll give it a couple shakes. And now, the watch has awoken. You can also pop out the crown, the screw, if you will, in its first setting and rotate it. It does the same thing. it winds the mechanism. 100 meters resistant. These are dive watches meant to perform underseas. And I don't know if you can see, but the hands are glow in the dark as well. A lot of the older watches, and even some of the newer ones, they accomplish this by using tritium, which is radioactive. So I think a lot of watchmakers have tried to get away from using tritium, but it is the gold standard still in watches. And this next one is a direct copy of the Rolex Submariner Invicta. It's everything that a Submariner is, except for the 2-point locking clasps. It's a little bit different how you put this on. Put it on like this. You see all this extra. Tuck it up like this. Put it up here. You're gonna push this. Now you're gonna fold over the clasp. Boom. Very comfortable. Very, very comfortable. Same thing, mechanical movement. So you can see the watch, it's not moving. The second hand, it's not moving. Twist my wrist a couple times. A couple more. Couple more. And now it's moving. Very cool. Now, take it off, pop open the clasp, and boom. Slide it off. So, one of my favorite designs now, the Rolex Submariner. $10,000. Very expensive watch. These Invictas, the last two that I showed, $80 on sale. Right now they are $89.99 brand new. So $9,000 Rolex, $80 Invicta. What's the difference? Why do Rolexes cost so much? Well, there are some nicer materials, and they're made in Switzerland, which is the gold standard of watchmakers. You go to Switzerland, it's like the gold standard of suit makers. Going to Italy. But you can only spend so much money when you are making a watch. Rolex, if a watch costs $8,000, $10,000, maybe even $15,000, they probably paid $500 to $600 in manufacturing it. But why do people still get Rolexes? It's a symbol of prestige, and as great as Invictas are, they will never be that. But some people don't want that. So Invictas are great for most people, and they also have a partnership with a lot of entities, and one of those entities is Disney. So Invicta has 38 millimeters is kind of 37, 38 millimeters is kind of the average. That's your, your submariners. I think this thing is 48 millimeters, and that's also why a lot of people don't get Rolexes or don't like them. They don't come in these big sizes. As you can see, this has a very interesting sort of gleam, shimmer. Everything about this watch really is interesting, to tell you the truth. It's a pain to wear, but it's cool looking. And you can see in the eyes, you can set the date as well as the day. It's a very interesting watch design, but Invicta, just to show you that, and then moving bezel as well, just to show you that there's a lot of gimmicks, but when you do start getting into those watches, it costs a lot more money. And I think personally, the best part about getting an Invicta over other watches is the affordability. And when you take away the affordability, I just feel like there's better options, but that's just my opinion. The next one that I want to show you is from a company called Seiko, and the Seiko movements were actually copied in the Invictas. Very good movements. They set the standard, the Japanese Miyota movement. This is a Seiko. This particular model is called, lovingly called, the Turtle. It is placed down here, set at the side for the screw, the adjustments. 200 meters depth. It has really fun hands, mechanical, but no skeleton back, just normal back. Same clasping mechanism, and this particular one allows you also to set the day as well as the date. Mechanical, so I already did it. Activated just by moving it, and these turtles go for around, well, let's just say we have this on sale for $750. It's a good watch. Seikos are renowned for their ability to tell time, to keep time, and to do it well. This clasp also has a double locking mechanism. It has a pin there, so you bring it up and you clasp this pin. I don't even have to pull down the clasp. It's already good to go. But for added safety, push in the clasp. Now to get it off. One, and I have to pinch these. Two. And that's how you take it off. I love these Seikos, and I highly recommend them. Now, I'm gonna get into a different brand. A brand that I absolutely adore. It's my favorite brand of watches by far. It is for those people who want Rolex quality but don't want to wear what everyone else is wearing and don't want to pay the amount of a Rolex. This is Tudor T This is very similar to the Submariner as well. Same chain design, same movable bezel, firm, crisp bezel. It's really nice. Same screw system. I mean, everything is the same, except this particular model doesn't have a date box on it. This is called their Black Bay, and it's gorgeous. I love it, but there's other models as well. This, their chronograph. It, movable bezel, side features, has the same time-keeping abilities as the other ones that I showed you earlier, with the seconds, stopwatch, and the reset. And then my personal favorite Tudor, the Pelagos. The Pelagos is a deep sea watch. It has a little gas release valve on the side as well. This is for people who clean underwater for a living, and yes, that's a job. I didn't know it either until I was studying these watches. They literally live in a capsule on the bottom of the ocean or very deep into the sea, and this valve here allows the gas that's built up, the nitrogen, to escape. It has your date box, has your 1,640 feet, all made in Switzerland, Geneva, and movable bezel. I mean, all the whistles. The Black Bay is around 4,000 to 5,000. The Pelagos 6,000 or 7,000, and the other one is around 6,000 as well. But I can't say enough good things about the Tudors and Pelagos, and it's incredibly simplistic, but just an incredible watch. The last watch that I want to show you is the Rolex. Now, Rolex is weird origins. It was a German guy who I believe started a Swiss watch company. I think it was in England. So I think most people pronounce it Rolex, but I think it's supposed to be pronounced more like Rolex, like that. But semantics aside, what you see with something like a Rolex is a switch, premium materials. Instead of mineral glass, this is sapphire glass, sapphire crystal. You'll see a higher quality of steel, 904 typically. In a watch like this, you'll see 18 karat gold. But at the end of the day, it's just a timepiece, and they all do the same thing. This particular Rolex is called the date. This is the first wristwatch ever to be able to tell you what the day is of the week as well as the date. As you can see there, you see the oyster logo on everything in order to clasp the Rolex. Put it in here, and you press down on the oyster. Got a nice firm grip, and there you go. To take it off, you grab this oyster cap right here, and it goes pop. Like I said, the bells, the whistles, but ultimately the exact same thing that all of these are doing. Mechanical watch. I can wind it like this, or I can pop out the screw. Boom, and then wind it like this. Either way, you do a little bit, and she starts humming. Gotta push it in, line it back up. I will say, what I have found is that the more details that are in these watches, the harder it is to set it. So, the fact that there is a day section and a date just means that there's more opportunity for things to go wrong. And let me tell you something. If you are going to dress nicely, wear a suit, wear something respectful. You have to have a mechanical watch or a dress watch like this. The smart watches just look weird with a dress suit. But at the end of the day, I'm usually looking at my phone to determine the time and the date. All of these watches are for looks. So, this Rolex, $20,000 for this Rolex. These Tudors, $6,000 to $8,000. Well, $5,000 to $8,000. Seiko, $800. Invicta, 60 to 300 or 400. And then the Quartz movements, you can get them for under $100. The Quartz can do the same thing that the Rolex can. So it comes down to what you like, what you prefer, what you want out of a watch. So what do you think? You do? I don't blame you. I like the Rolexes as well. Which one are you thinking? Oh, great choice. Silver and gold on the band. Blue face. I think it's 100 beaters, resistance, and glow in the dark hands. Great choice, great choice. Let me get this box for you. Oh, you want to wear it out? Okay. Well, here you are. Let me just have my cashier come over and check you out. I'll set this to the side for you. Is there any other watch? The Turtle. Yes. The Turtle is a phenomenal watch, and I mean, it's a good investment. And if you just have one good watch, you really won't need a second or a third. The Turtle. Okay, well, we do have a layaway plan, 50% down now, and you come back, you pay it in 2 months. We take it off the shelf so no one will get it. You come back and pay the balance full in 2 months, and you get it. Yeah. Okay, let me take this off then. I'll put this in the back room so nobody can get it before you. Other than that, do you have any questions? So, you're very welcome. No thanks required, thank you. If you want to know more about these timepieces, they if you want to start with the Invicta and work your way up, get the Tudors, the Omegas, the Rolex, Patek. Let's not go that far, right? But there's nothing wrong with staying with the Invictus as well. So I'm gonna get someone come over here so you can pay and be on your way. Also give you over to somebody who will properly size it within 10 minutes, get you out and going. That's right, I'm sure your wife will won't be too upset over an $80 purchase. Not like the Rolex, right?